Okay.
Hey everybody, what's up? This is All Killer No Filler with Blueskiesvienna and Real.Genetics, and this is the Skunk Fam podcast. Our mission is to bring you the truth over the misinformation, to give you real accounts of people growing blue skies genetics, what they find, what they don't find, and everything in between. We don't hide anything here. We're just here to bring you the truth. So I don't want to ramble any further. I'm going to give Real.Genetics the floor. He has been growing some amazing plants. I've seen some blueberries, some skunk spray phenos. Looks like he's got some type of body odors. There's even more I'm sure that I'm missing. So yeah, Real.Genetics, bro. Breeder Steve, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yo. First of all, I gotta thank you for having me on the podcast and for giving me the opportunity to even grow these genetics in the first place.
Thanks for coming on the show, bro. This is the first time speaking to you. I've seen your amazing plants you posted on Insta, and yeah, very keen to hear all about you and what you're doing.
Yeah, man, I was stoked when I saw your plants at first. People started posting pictures of them. I started following other people who were growing them, but yeah, so probably start at the beginning anyway. Started growing 1999. I was 12 years old, 7th grade. Outdoors only back then. Started with seeds from like bag seeds and stuff. Ask people for seeds from their shit. Been growing outdoors every year ever since. Haven't skipped a year, and started getting into indoor growing I think 8 years ago now. And yeah, I guess my love is the genetics, growing different seeds, different endless possibilities of phenotypes and everything, and the smells. But I fell in love with growing weed just from growing it.
Well, that's awesome. Did your parents know that you were growing when you were 12, or were you growing with them?
No, man. So I had to hide it. So like the first few years I was growing, I didn't harvest anything because everything got taken. And and that was the thing back then too, was you always had a spot that got ripped from like, if they grew them real big and real nice, lots of fertilizer, the helicopters would see them.
Yeah.
Or hunters would find them. But no, I had to hide it back then. It was all outdoors and like seed reproduction just to keep it going. But I came across.
What were you growing? Do you know what you were growing back then?
Yeah, what were the first strains you started off with?
So at first it was probably the Mexican swag seeds, the ones that didn't even finish. And then I started getting some mid-grade seeds. And I remember getting these seeds one time from one year, and that was the year when the first time I started like 200 plus seedlings, and I was like sitting down outside once they were all about 6 inches tall, and I was like on a rock in the woods in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I gonna put all these? And but it was mid-grade, and out of those I ended up getting a lot with like pink hairs. And there was one that finished later than the rest. It was more sativa, and it had like pom-pom buds. They weren't long colas. It was like little pom-poms. And that one had dark purple hairs that actually, when it was growing, it like changed. It was purple for the longest time, and then it kind of got lighter colored to the point where, and they almost basically disappeared, like turned white, and then purple again before harvest. And that one was really, really fucking good out of some bag seed. But yeah, started growing some high grade seeds as well, like back in when the first California outdoor or indoor came around, like 2007, or earlier even. and started making some crosses like with whatever the best seeds that I had available to get a male from, and cross it with a plant I grew from just like a random bag seed of high grade. Started growing. I also got some genetics that were like pure sativa that I grew back in the day. They were I don't know what they were, but they finished outside enough to be like pretty good. And that was kind of like some of the first ones that I started growing. But and then so anyway, I've been getting my hands on whatever I can grow over the years. I've kind of gone through genetic, like, I don't know, like somewhat of an addiction growing and like buying seeds of every different kind of like heirloom cannabis that I can find, and like land races and everything. So been growing land races lately for the past like mostly, I guess anyway, for the past years or so. And yeah, just my thing that I do is I grow as many different kinds as I can. I make seeds of each kind just so I can save it, and then the best shit, I cross it and make new strains, or I preserve it more, or just basically try to find the best weed that I can.
I
It's all
think
about
that's the
having,
future, bro. I think that's the future, to start going back to the old school, to the land races and working with those, I think that is the way forward. Just go back to the beginning and
yeah,
start over. And some of the things I grew early on were like Malawi gold and Afghans and Indian hash plants.
yeah,
And to this day, they're still some of the best things I've grown.
yeah. You find some keepers in there, like I remember there was this Nanda Devi, like North Indian hash plant smelled like green Laffy Taffy. And then there's like a Mexican sativa that smelled like Halloween candy,
Yeah.
and like a stick your nose in like a pillowcase full of candy, like that smell,
Yeah. People
and
don't
shit like that.
understand that you can get some like intoxicating aromas from the land races, that are, fucking far superior to all this gas and cookie shit.
Yeah, yeah. So that brings it back. Like, so as I've been growing, for the past like, it's been I think 23 years now. I used to get fucking good weed, and I used to be impressed, with the weed I got back in like high school and stuff, and even like 2007 when the California, kind bud was coming. But I've been kind of unimpressed for a little while now with all these new hype strains. And there's some good ones kind of mixed in between that are pretty good that I do really like the Malibu Marsha and some other shit. But right now, like, yeah, to get the best genetics is to get the old school shit, this like real old school skunk and haze, and these heirlooms in these seeds that Blue Skies is putting out there. It's just like, man, as soon as I started, I probably started like at least 30 of them at first. Did a boss pack and a Terptown ticket, started both of them. And yeah, there were some right from the get that were just like that blueberry one was like darker colored leaves, and it was short, and it had this like onion, like gnarly stem smell. And yeah, I knew right away looking at these genetics that they were special. I was like, grown quite a few seeds over the years, and you just know when you got something that's fucking real when you start it. So yeah, it's a pleasure. I still haven't harvested any of Blue Skies stuff yet, but
How did you find out about Blue Skies?
I think he started following me on Instagram or something. But back in the day, I think or maybe he liked one of my pictures and I fucking followed him. But either way, and yeah, I wasn't.
Well, I'm glad you did meet me anyway, bro. Because like I say, your plants you've been posting lately are just Beautiful, beautiful. That
Thanks.
blueberry looks. Oh, I can't wait for the smoke report on that blueberry.
Yeah, yeah. I'm basically waiting for the seed development to finish, and then I can cut them. And
Yeah, I know you pollinated the three you've posted lately, didn't you? What male did you use for that?
so the male, I took like the best skunk male that I found in the terp ticket.
Nice.
To pollinate them all, because I tried to use all the males, but man, it was so cold and they got stunted and they didn't drop pollen in time, and so I ended up having to use just not the male, but it was a male from the same seeds, so got keep that. But yeah, there's so many, like expressions in these genetics. Like that strawberry plant is like yellow, and then it's got like jagged leaves like shooting out from the buds everywhere. Really gnarly. I want to definitely grow that one outside and see how that one does. Long internodes between the buds. And then there's the blueberry that's like short. That one had resin before like all the other females, and probably was more developed too into flowering. It was like a short, fast one that always had like good berry smelling resin, blackberry types resin.
It's funny that you say that it made the transition from onion to blueberry, because I've experienced that as well. This grapefruit plant I have, it actually went from an onion to a blueberry to now a really heavy citrus smell. So it's funny how
Yeah,
that progression happens.
that's funny because the best example of that I can think of is when I grew some tangy. I had a couple plants of it. They were both female. One of them, the stem rub smelled like kind of like orangey, like citrusy, and then the other one smelled like stink bug. And I was like, oh shit, the stink bug one, that probably ain't gonna smell too good when it flowers. But between the two, the stink bug smelled like a nice like mandarin orange, and then the other one that was more like citrusy smelled like a red orange, and it was like not as good really as the stink bug one that smelled like a nice Tropicana cookie type orange, like a milder, more orange rather than like a red cherry-ish orange. Um but yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, and out of those seeds I grew from Blue Skies, got the blueberry, which has held which is held in there pretty good. I got the skunk spray that came out of the terp town actually. I ended up basically finding all the best ones out of the terp ticket that I want to keep. I got the body odor one as well.
Nice.
Yep. There was out of the rest of the terp ticket, like there was other like skunky ones and odory ones and some like haze things that don't really smell yet. And yeah, I think I found all the best ones so far, but I guess we'll really see when they're
So did you pollinate every one of your plants, or did you just only do the three that I've seen?
I tried to pollinate all of them, but because the way it went with the being so cold, only a handful of them got pollinated, but at least the best ones got pollinated.
And forgive
Oh,
me,
bro,
what
the offspring from that blueberry should be, with that skunk male, should be beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and what I plan on doing is, so I got these keeper phenos. I got the skunk spray, the body odor, the blueberry, and the strawberry. And so those I'm gonna make seeds with again when I start like 2 more boss packs and my last Terp Town ticket. And I'm gonna, pick the best ones out of those seeds, and then make more seeds with the best ones, and kind of start to figure out like what lines are available in the seeds that I got, and start like just making batches of seeds that are kind of, selecting towards whatever kind of line is available, find the best ones and kind of mix them up, a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy.
the skunk spray female that you pollinated as well. If that's how was the tips on the male at the end you ended up using?
The male had
Because sorry, I don't know if you as well. I cut out earlier a little bit, and I've just got reconnected, so I don't know if I missed that.
okay. Yeah, no, the male came actually from the Terptown ticket as well, believe it or not, but it had the skunkiest stem rub the whole time. It was like skunk with some fresh asphalt. And
Nice.
so yeah, and then once it started dropping pollen, by that point I was getting like a little bit of a terp rub on the flowers, and I could kind of smell what the flower would smell like. So yeah, it was skunky enough. I was like, oh, that's the skunkiest one. So that's what I'm
Cool.
one of the males. I actually had 3 males that I used to pollinate the boss skunk, or even though it came from the terp ticket, I've been calling it a boss skunk, that skunk spray one.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I had three males. 2 of them were from the boss pack, and that one was from the terp ticket, but they all had like the skunkiest stem rub, and then flowers ended up being that. So I got some skunk seeds coming,
Nice.
and then I got some other seeds coming with the other phenos. But yeah, I plan on making a lot more seeds after I start the rest of the seeds I got from you, and seeing what else is there. I mean, because the first time around, not gonna lie, like, because I had never heard from you, so, or of who you were, so I didn't know. I'm like, is this really true? Like, is this really real? Because nobody's got real skunk, and and then I grow it, and it's like, yep, like, yeah,
Damn
fucking crazy. Because dude, it is too good to be true almost, and like, I've had a good feeling like the whole time. I was like, yo, it's got it. Like, there's no way it's not,
Well, as
and
soon as you pop the seeds, you're like, well, and just in my experience, as soon as you pop those seeds and they start sprouting their first true leaves, they stand out. If you have other genetics in the room, they stand out.
yeah, they do, and they're really so much like different, they're super PM resistant, they're sturdy, like when they grow, they like stack super close internodes. And then one thing I noticed about the way the skunk grew is those lower internodes that turn into larf on other shit just like filled right out, and it turned into just like big thick skunk bud.
Yeah, I've got this. I've experienced the same thing. Like the lowers ain't really lowers compared to most things.
Yeah.
That picture that I
all the
often
way down.
post. That picture I often post of the big outdoor with lots of skunk
Yeah.
buds.
That
Yeah,
shit's
that one.
those are some of the biggest colas I think I've seen, especially with that uniformity.
I'm not kidding, right? At the bottom, as you say, at the bottom of those plants, which you can't see in that picture, the buds are huge as well. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so
Unreal.
Yielded like motherfuckers.
And so that
Yeah,
little field, that one was like the spray, the carcass, the ammonia, burnt rubber.
Yes, that was what the best for me, the best skunk that
oh my God.
I've grown for sure. It was
You know,
super fucking strong ammonia and skunk, and yeah,
that picture makes
eye
me
water
happy.
and nose burning.
Unreal.
Yeah,
No,
that
it makes
definitely a piece
makes me so happy when I see that picture of all those plants blowing in the wind, like in the vegetative growth stage outdoors there that you were talking
Yeah.
about. Because that's their branching habit is just like, it just soaks up the sun, like those skunk plants. It's just it's just a completely different plant than all this hype shit that we've been growing.
It is, dude.
These days.
I've experienced the same thing. Some of these plants, the lateral branching is just explosive. It's coming out of.
Yep.
I've seen plants like when we're talking about more modern, popularly grown plants. The only ones I've seen with that lateral branching end up being mutants. But with Blue Sky stuff,
Yeah.
they're definitely not mutants. That's just how they grow.
Yeah. And I mean, man, anyone can look at those and think that's different. Like that's not the viney, weak branching type shit that, grows like nowadays, like indoors, trellised and whatnot. Like these plants fucking really stand up on their own and probably do pretty well outside, anywhere like that you can grow it.
Bro, I've seen them withstand ridiculous winds myself, like crazy winds, and
Yeah.
people they've had to, well, one guy recently I thought was quite crazy, but I'm glad he did it. He grew he grew in the UK outdoor over winter. He started this plant in October and he harvested it in January just gone, and it grew
Oh my
through the
God.
shitty freezing cold UK winter outdoors. I was shocked, to be honest. But
Wow.
then people in America have told me they've survived multiple frosts and snowfall even, and
Oh, I
yeah.
bet. Yeah. Yeah. This year is going to be, a testing year as far as like outdoor goes. Cause I like to test my plants, indoors and outdoors for like a keeper pheno. And, yeah, like, I definitely got high hopes for all these phenos that I've kept so far. And then of
Yeah,
course,
I bet
the
you'll
one,
see them explode outdoors, bro. They'll be huge and
yeah,
amazing, thriving.
that skunk spray plant. I mean, that thing is like super dense. I mean, I can't wait just to see what it does. Like I've never really grown plants that are this good because I've gotten skunk back in the day. Like I bought it and smoked it and whatnot, but I never got a clone or anything. So like this is nice to have access to these genetics. This is just like instantly goes to the top of my you know like keeper phenos of like because I'm always pheno hunting, like
Yeah.
basically constantly throughout the year. I'm always starting more seeds, and you know, something else comes to the top, and I get rid of a few things, and yeah, these are up at the top, because
Well, I'll
definitely.
make a prediction that with the genetics that you've just created yourself, with these old timer genetics, you're just going to be within this gene pool now for a long time and not worrying about anything outside it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, with what
And if I was to cross it, I'd probably do something really, like say I'd find a really nice strawberry or swan or something and cross it to like one land race that's really good or something and
Oh
see what
yeah, of
happens.
course. I was thinking. I was when I said that. I was really thinking about all the hype. But yeah, land races, of
Oh yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
I mean,
It
what
is.
you got basically, with that variety, the skunk spray, the blueberry, the strawberry body odor, you've got the 1960s and 70s starting point of the mass genetics right now, and you can go in your own directions.
And I
Yeah,
love I love the selections you made too. I love the strawberry, I love the blueberry, I love the skunk spray, and there's a whole
yeah.
lot of other weird and wonderful things too.
Yeah, the strawberry, that one actually it showed resin just almost as early as the blueberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was kind of like I knew it was gonna look interesting from the get. I mean, the way those buds were like pre-flowering and like the leaves were like spiking away from the bud. And yeah, that one I was like, damn, that I've never fucking seen a plant that looks like that before. Um, After all these years, it's like that one is something else.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
love
there's
the
some.
strawberry. You probably got a nice strawberry haze there.
Oh boy, it's gonna be real good. Um, I can't wait to try all these
Is it a
keeper
pure
phenos.
fruit strawberries type smell?
Yeah, it's strawberry like that just like penetrates like into your head. So it's I don't know, it's just so much more substance to these than just like because even though I got some good hype shit, the smell it's still like not as potent of a smell.
This is
Like
next level tips.
yeah, this is next level. This one permeates. Like these ones, like fumigate the area surrounding it with their terpenes, like
Um,
yeah.
hey, if you don't mind, you mind telling us like what your growing style was when you started and like how you progressed to where you're at now? Like what methods you
Yeah, so when I started, I would start seeds like way back, like back in 1999. I started seeds in like little cups, and then I would put them outside in like a swampy area, but they would still be like in a pot above the ground, just wherever they could get sunlight and wouldn't get found and shit. And yeah, I started doing that, and then about 5 years, 4 years of that, I started growing in the ground in better spots that I could find. And um, yeah, pretty much grew outdoors. I grew in trees back in the day. I would start them. I wouldn't finish the plants, but I'd start them in the top of pine trees, like the highest one I could find, just because it got the most sun. So I'd go up there with a rope and I'd pull 5 gallon bucket full of soil up and put it onto a broken off branch at the top and start my seedlings up there because really spot that gets full sun that won't get found. And did that a little bit, not for long though. And basically, yeah, I was growing in the ground all those years. I also have a spot that's never been found, never been ripped by anybody, cops, nothing. That's in a swamp, and that spot I actually retired it, just from the sake that it's like at this point, I don't need to hide it, so why go through all that effort? But I grew in that spot for like 20 years,
Is it legal
and
where you're at now then?
it's legal, yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, so I grew in that spot for a long time. That was the swamp spot. That spot basically was uh about a foot of standing water and then shrubbery growing in the water. So I'd clear out a little spot, not like barely, and put the elevated bucket system of
Okay.
like a couple buckets on top, like a cylinder that's
Yeah.
about 4 feet high. So I'd put that
Nice.
in there and I'd fill it up with like the soil, sometimes really good soil, but usually just like whatever was in the swamp. It's just muck. And I'd fill it and I'd fucking grow in the swamp, and got like full sun. So the buds would get like nice and dense. And it was just like organic matter. So like they did really well, but it was, it was like they always had access to water because the water level was usually, a little bit lower. And if it flooded, then you'd have problems. But yeah, that spot was like basically the OG spot, never got found.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds cool.
and I retired it. Yeah.
when you were coming up, were you basically self-taught, or was there like any literature you had, or maybe some OGs that were teaching?
Oh, yeah. So back in the day, the research was but yeah, basically self-taught, but I looked on overgrow.com back then,
Yeah.
and I was always looking on overgrow, and that's kind of, yeah, I definitely did lots of research. And then got, I had already been like farming vegetables and stuff too, so I was, growing all sorts of stuff anyway. And um,
I think it's important, like especially for some of the younger people listening to, because most people can just, with what's available now, people can just get started, and within a year they look like a professional grower. There's a lot of trial and error involved, especially when you have to hide things and you're growing outside. There's so many variables outside, and there's just, back when you started, you're way before my time, but there was not a lot of information, and asking questions could get you in serious trouble.
yeah, no, totally. I mean, you talk about it with your friends, but usually they didn't have much more experience than you. And it's yeah, OG growers really just kept them to themselves, and you hid the fact that you grew But trial and error though, that was it back then. I can tell you what, there's every single way possible that nature will like rob you of your crops. There's everything, but it's got its perks too. And honestly, I tell people it's easier than indoor growing because you could just plant a seed, and as long as it has sun and in the ground where there's a little bit of moisture, it'll just grow.
Yeah.
It'll do its thing. But yeah, guerrilla growing. I pretty much stopped guerrilla growing last year. Actually, was the first year that I stopped doing it. Where I just kind of grow plants where I can, like in the yard or whatever. Kind of hidden, like not too big, but because still try to keep it hidden from the neighbors. But I don't guerrilla grow as much really anymore. It's just pretty much retired some spots last year, which is after 20 years from that spot in the swamp.
Take your wins where you can get them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said, fuck it, man. It's getting too hard to do this without being noticed. And so I was like, well, that's, I'm all good. Got plenty of indoor space now, and doing what I need to.
When did you start making seeds?
The first time I made seeds was probably back in like 2001 or 2002, and it was just outdoors. It was I would grow all my different crop spots where I would put seedlings, and they would grow, and some spots I would pull the males out of, but I would pick a spot usually, and I would keep a male and pollinate the females with it, and then that's how I would have my seeds. But the problem with that outdoors was the fact that you have to let the seeds finish, so they go later than everything else, and then the hunters find them. So that was the problem with seed crops. You had to have a really good spot so that the hunters don't find them in like October and whatnot.
Do you ever like deal with birds or anything robbing you of your seeds?
No, I never had that. I definitely seen some seeds like growing out of the bud before when it was like really wet and rainy.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah, you could see the little the root radical poking through.
It started to pop inside the bud.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, a bunch of them did too. Yeah, it wasn't even rotten; it was just wet. Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, nature finds a way.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so when you did decide to move indoors, did you just stick with soil?
Yeah, I did. Well, I did, I guess what I call a soilless mix, like the peat and cocoa, shit like that. But when I first moved in, I actually just used my own soil. I found like the best soil from outside that I could, and just used that. And I never had like problems like PM and shit until now. And I got it from genetics rather than the soil.
Like from a clone or from a seed?
From a clone.
I'm sorry, that's probably not really a very smart question. But so what, if you don't mind, what was it that brought the PM in?
It was the lemon OG.
Nice.
The lemon OG. Yeah. It was honestly, it could have been from that, but I have suspect that it could be from something else. I won't say, but who knows? And but yeah, anyway, the long story short, I PM now, but I didn't back in the day when I used to fucking just use soil from wherever, like the best soil in my garden or something, or a little bit of compost. But
that could probably be attributed to the microorganisms that were in your native soil,
yeah,
keeping things like that, keeping your plant super healthy.
Yeah, but yeah, I just use soilless mix now indoors still. I like using soil. It's just easy. Water by hand. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah,
how
I'm a soil guy as well, man.
I
Mhm,
basically
mhm.
just do soil, and I do living soil, top dressing, amendments, and then I do natural farming ferments on top of that just to go,
Yeah,
you know.
man, I was thinking because it got me thinking of like back in the day when I was growing, and there was this one spot where I don't want to say too much, but like another spot that it did get found at least a few times, but it was so good that I just had to keep coming back. And this it was this outdoor spot where it was on kind of like a hillside, and there was like vines and shit everywhere. So there was areas where it was like full of sun, and the plants, like the weeds, grew fucking huge, and like crazy amounts of microorganisms in the soil. Like shit was just I've never seen like such a jungle before. And the reason why is because it was sort of like on the fringe of a wetland, and also got like fertilizer runoff from cow shit that
Yes.
you know what I mean? It like fed the woods in that area, and like the vineyards were like fertilized, and
Yeah.
and so you fucking put something in there. And I did back in the day, and like back when I was still growing the Mexican bag seed, I put some out there one time. They're about a foot tall, probably 6 inches to a foot when I put them there. And I went back out in like July. It had been like a month, and figured they'd be like a few feet high, maybe 4 or 5 feet if I'm lucky. Fucking go out there and I look, and I like didn't see it. I'm like, oh, they're gone. And then I don't know at which point when I realized it, but my eyes got real wide and I looked. I was like, oh shit! And it had grown into a tree. It was fucking huge. It was like 9 or 10 feet tall or something. It was just huge. It was like the leaves were the size of like trash can lids, like
Yeah.
a huge Mexican sativa plant. And yeah, it fucking grew up into a tree, and I like didn't see it at first. It was, you know, it was fucking crazy. But yeah, that was a good time back in the day.
So is that probably one of your biggest outdoor harvests off that one?
Actually, not that one plant, but actually another plant grown in the same spot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the most we've got off a plant in there, um, but is well, basically a pound and a half, but they fucking always fall over and get like moldy and shit because it's gorilla growing, so you can't really like trellis it
You're only
up. And
checking every couple weeks or something, right? Or every week maybe?
yeah, I got to the point with the gorilla growing where I would literally plant and harvest and maybe check it once.
Right.
And
I mean, you're probably picking spots so you know they're going to be watered.
yeah, and it's just a risk if they make it or not, um
Yeah.
completely. But yeah, no, I think probably 4 trips throughout the year would be enough to pull the weeds and stuff like that, and pluck some leaves from here and there maybe. But
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
man.
you're
but yeah.
lucky out there. You've got the good weather really to actually do outdoor. The UK, people do okay, but
Hmm.
it's not the greatest compared to, say, when you compare it to Spain or somewhere that's a lot hotter and got
Yeah.
better climate. But
Yeah.
some people do really, like a small amount of people in the UK comparatively to anywhere else, do well outdoors because it's just hard to find a good spot.
Yeah.
It's not like living in Canada or America where you've got like huge fucking areas that you can hide out in. It's just like there's a
Yeah.
dog walker everywhere in the UK because everyone's got dogs. It's just
Hmm.
like probably there's some farmers who've got their own like huge land that if they wanted to they could do something, but for the average person it's possible, but it's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And the weather's crap, so even if you find a spot, it's, you don't often get the best of end products. But that being said, I always tell the story, the most potent thing I've ever smoked was some like really atrocious looking UK outdoor. It was Old Timer One Genetics that I gave a friend some cuttings of to put outdoors, and I went away for a week thinking I'll come back and they'll still be growing. I come back and he's chopped them and dried them already and handed me this bag of them, and it didn't look impressive at all. Even it was nice ESB Haze cuttings, that's Old Timer One Genetics, but there were like a small number, maybe half a dozen of these purple buds in there, and I smoked that, and that was just the most potent thing even now to this day that I've ever smoked. It was literally like paralyzing. And that was at a time where I'd already been, I was already a heavy, committed smoker. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I had a light tolerance or anything, but this particular outdoor from the UK, I think it was just fluke, because I was never able to replicate that potency indoor, certainly, and just nothing has ever been as strong as that. I was literally, after 3 puffs on a joint, it was almost like close to being paralyzed for a short time. It was just like I couldn't move. It was fucking ridiculous. It was like more than morphine or anything I've ever had after an operation. It was just absolutely.
So
I was like, this is too strong for cannabis. Then that's the only time I've ever thought that, when I've smoked something, that it was too strong for cannabis. It was crazy.
Yeah, and that was the ESB Haze.
Yeah.
No shit. So that ESB Haze. Does it turn more dark than green, or they're both phenotypes?
There are both phenotypes, but that was like, the starting point of the sort of seeds I've got now, even though it was like years later when I made seeds with those, really. But yeah, ESB Haze and Lot 5 were the two things from Old Timer Genetics, and some Smile and a few others, but predominantly Lot 5 and ESB Haze F2s and stuff that I've made over the years from that original starting point was what the seeds that you've been growing recently originate from, ultimately.
And so in those, I'm sorry to interrupt. In those days, the early days when you're just discovering Old Timer One's genetics and stuff, why do you think like his stuff just didn't go mainstream? I mean, obviously other people had access to it, but why is it that it just didn't take the left turn and make it, widely?
Because he only really is mainly his genetics are only ever made available to a small amount of people on that particular UK forum. And as I say, the UK is relatively behind in a lot of ways. Not so much now, but back then was behind America in its like growing culture and knowledge for the main part, because like we never, as I say, we didn't really have that outdoor thing going on that you guys had every year. That when indoors started, you were able to grow indoors, and you also had that outdoor thing. Whereas, as I say, the shit weather that you got in the UK, for the majority of people, they just don't really bother, And as I say, there's no comparison between flowers grown in the UK and grown in, for say, example, Spain, where it's, as I say, it's a lot hotter, a lot more conducive to growing outdoors in the UK. But yeah. So yeah, that's why it didn't go mainstream, and why Old Timers One stuff has not gone so mainstream, because it was really only put out and made available to, as I say, a small amount of people on that forum, and they're not sort of like growing on any big scale. Most people in the UK, they're doing small indoor grows or a few in their greenhouse, that kind of thing. So yeah.
But by the time I'm finally releasing seeds, he's been collecting and selecting for 40 years.
No, beyond that, it's back to the late 60s, man. We're talking closer to 60 years.
Right. So, but when he first put out the seeds, would be early 2000s, right? Or maybe a little.
That's when I got mine, anyway, around about 2004, and then some more in 2007, I think, and a little more after that.
By that time, there was already hype strains, right? I mean, there was the OG.
What was the hype strains back then? There wasn't anything crazy. I suppose White Widow and Cheese, they were like predominant strains, if you like. I don't know if you'd call them hype so much, but yeah, yeah. I think hype has been more recently in the last 5-10 years, really hype.
Yeah,
You know,
back then that was still like the
the
Bubba
Dutch.
Kush and some I guess some at this point heirloom, not heirloom, but old OG strains.
Yeah, I suppose people in the UK back in the early 2000s, they were still growing, and well, say in the mid 90s and the early 2000s when growing sort of started as a thing indoors. Um, they were growing like the Sensi seed stuff, like Super Skunk and that
Yep.
kind of thing. White Widow then was popular.
Yep.
Cheese, as I say, but
Yeah.
like Dutch stuff, really. The UK's influence came from Holland, and then in the 2010 onwards, Cali took over. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But up until mid 2000, 2010, I'd say everything was really, most people were still smoking Dutch stuff. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, because it was coming in through from
Amnesia
Canada
Haze is
too.
big in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely. It's where
now it's Cali is taking over. You know,
yeah, it turned into the hype, like you said, like the past like years anyway, like with all these cookies crosses, and after the OG craze and everything started kind of
I feel like
going.
cookies was the first hype, really, the first real hype. You know,
Yeah,
something that's mediocre that's promoted as
Like
like world
it's the
class or something.
dessert names and the marketing, right? I mean, that's really what did it, I feel like.
Yeah,
The eye-catching names, and then obviously, the cookies bud structure is just for some reason is what people stuck on, and I think
mhm,
I noticed when that stuff started coming around, because for the longest time it was stuff like blueberry or all these other older strains, and then you start seeing these, and it's like, okay, it's really expensive, but it just doesn't do much for you.
yeah,
I think a lot part of it too with the hype is when Instagram kind of started the hype, like when it became about the bag appeal, right? Like,
yeah,
um,
definitely.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so people
started.
sell it, right? I mean, that's otherwise, what does bag appeal doesn't even matter really. I mean, of course, everyone
No,
likes to look at a pretty bud. I do. We all do.
Instagram has probably
right.
fucking ruined cannabis and ruined the cannabis community.
There's certainly the gene pool for
Well,
a lot of it.
yeah, and
Certainly,
it's pitted people against each other for likes and views, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely made celebrities out of people, and
yeah.
for better or worse. I mean, I
but
think it was bound to happen anyway. But yeah, you're right, Blue Skies. I mean, Instagram has not made things any better.
that's why I set up the forum, and I also think the old forum days were better. Yes, there was a bit of drama occasionally, but it was more civilized, there was more foundation and history there, and threads, last and could be referred to in a way that Instagram accounts can't, especially when they're getting deleted all the time. So yeah,
Mm.
Instagram's shit, really.
Does anybody know like any like real details on why like cannabis growers get hassled so much on Instagram? I mean, it's not illegal. I guess it is federally illegal still, so that's probably why it's just like a gray area, right? I mean, any little excuse and they'll just boot you.
I've got no idea about their policies exactly, but the majority of my accounts have gone down due to snitches, bro. Not so much Instagram being outraged about cannabis.
Yeah, true. And there is a lot of, like censorship in terms of political stuff. And you can't even, there's been times where I'm just describing something and it'll stop me and say, this looks like a comment that's been, reported before or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's just unnecessary. But yeah, man, I mean, so that's cool to know, like the progression of
But
the beginning of Old Timer One stuff. And then,
yeah, yeah. But at least I got in touch with you guys from Instagram too, because yeah,
it is done a
Yeah, I'm
lot.
not saying Instagram. I've got to say, to be honest, when I was on that private forum that I was referred to as going down, that it's just collapsed. Like
yeah,
people used to say, oh, Instagram's shit and it's like, you know, full of dickheads. And yeah, it is shit and it is full of dickheads. But also, I've actually met way more fucking cool people on Instagram than I ever did on the forums, actually, you know?
It did both. I mean, it ruined, you know, the genetics because, you know, people select for bag appeal and like dispensary weed and shit like that. And but yeah, you know, but on the side though, then there's like Blue Skies. Like I don't know anyone else fucking promoting, you know, good genetics like the way you're promoting these. Like, you know, um yeah, it's just, I don't know, like we must be the luckiest people on planet Earth to get these genetics right now, like the
I mean,
skunk weed.
Blue Skies and I were actually literally having that conversation this morning about how, you know, we think it's fate, you know, that it fell into his hands. I mean, he almost lost his life, you know,
Right.
and then, you know, and to be able, and the fact that everything was destroyed except he already had the intuition to keep the seeds off the property. I mean, those aren't
Mhm.
coincidences, you know. I mean, it's like, it's very
Yeah.
amazing. Honestly, it's an incredible story. I mean, it's a miracle that we even have these at our disposal. And then not only that, but how much of a good job he did, you know, and the
Yeah.
foresight to know. Well, I mean, I guess when he's making the seeds, you're already thinking there's nothing but bullshit on the market, so we've got to do something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so, and you did a great job with the breeding, and you know, you knew what you were looking for, and you know, it's like, it's really cool. It's honestly, I feel extremely grateful to know you guys and to be able to take
Mhm.
part in this for sure.
Yeah. No, it's a privilege. It's just, you know, what are the odds? You know, been trying to get my hands on real skunk and then just to learn the story and shit that goes with it, like how it all, because it's all cannabis shit, all like everyone's doing it and it ties in these random places like this, but it just like, yeah, like what are the odds, you know? Fucking
And I think it's cool too what the whole situation with the suppression and you know all of the static I've had to experience just myself. You know, like I was telling you, like I was just a mainstream grower myself as far as what I knew about genetics and who I looked up to in the community before I found Blue Skies. And, you know, it kind of just pulled the veil off of everything in a way because I was on a pink cloud thinking that everybody was, you know, cool people and
yeah.
everything. You just
Yeah.
you get in enough like little debates or whatever. I mean, I was on several forums on Facebook. You know, I when I
Mhm.
first got the seeds, I wasn't even really like into Instagram at all. I was on Facebook
Mhm.
and I had made a bunch of friends on there, you know, just growing other stuff. I've talked about it before. It's not anything really interesting, but it's just funny to me because people were so cool to me until, you know, I decided to try something new. And, you know, I think everyone has
Mm.
this curiosity aspect. And I think a lot of us have the same thought going into it. Like, I kind of want to make something for myself, something new, you know, something with a fresh
Yeah.
starting point that hasn't been diluted to the point where whatever I make doesn't even have a distinct smell. It already smells like 20 other things, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
and you know, I think we all kind of took a leap of faith in buying our first packs, you know?
No,
Because there's so
exactly.
much BS out there. And like I had reached out to Blue Skies and just to say, hey man, like what's up? And how do I find out more about you? And that was when the Future Cannabis Project episode was still up. So I got on there and I'm hearing these accounts and everything, people talking about what they found. So I'm like, fuck it. What do I have to lose? It wasn't that expensive of a pack, you know? And so, you know, and like I said, man, those seedlings, as soon as the seedlings sprout, dude, like they were all distinct, completely different. The first 5 I popped, all completely different. And they were showing colors as a seedling, which is always really cool to see, you know? And so,
Mhm.
and as the plants got older, you know, just dealing with people like, no, this and that, you know, we've talked about it 100 times, but you know, they all have this same sort of like script that they run down to throw at you of why you shouldn't be growing them or why Blue Skies isn't a good person or this or whatever. And it's like, dude, it's all irrelevant to me. It's just noise, you know, it's noise.
Mhm.
Especially at this point, like honestly, I've made a lot of genuine friends through this process, you know. And I
Mhm.
think did we talk in DMs before you'd popped any seeds?
With me.
Yeah, Steve.
Or-
Or had you already
Um,
seeds at that point? I can't remember.
I think I'd already popped some. I probably,
Hell
I
yeah.
would say, yeah,
I didn't realize you
yeah,
had popped so many. You said you popped 30 right off the bat, right?
yeah. It was probably closer to 40 actually, because that terp ticket really had quite a few in it itself.
Yeah, they do, man. I mean, you get
It
the
like
pack, you're like, oh
yeah,
shit.
surprised me. Hey, I got like my cell trays ready, and I was like, oh shit, there's still like at least a dozen seeds in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a nice surprise. You get your packs in the mail and Blue Skies
Yeah.
has fucking hooked it up, man.
Oh man. Well, the thing is, once you buy it, and any shred of like doubt or whatever that like you've never bought the seeds before, once you grow them and that's gone, you're like, well, I need to buy more seeds now.
Right,
You
because
know.
like the hunt continues, you know?
Oh, yeah, because it's like you see what possibilities there are. There's just so many keeper phenos just coming out all over the place. Who knows what'll happen if you keep the best ones, make more seeds with them, and see what comes out of that. It's like
You haven't smoked them yet, have you?
I haven't smoked them yet. Yeah.
That's, I mean, every step of this process is awesome, just because of how they stand out. But when you
Hmm.
smoke them, that's when you're really like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can tell just straight off the terpene profile that it's going to be something wicked.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. I mean, it's so strong. Even like the strawberry is, you just go over and smell it, and it's that kind of weed that back in the day, we used to get like dank bud. It was like a piney skunk, and you'd smell it without having to like do anything. Just open up the bag, and the smell was so strong. You just smell it all day, and that this weed reminds me of that, where the smell is just emanating off of it without having to disturb the trichomes. It's just like really kind of like just back in the day, the shit that really fucking, you know,
Super
really good
nostalgic. I
weed.
agree. I agree. Like like I said, I'm younger than you guys for sure, but I was around in those early days and everything, and smelling and trying those really super
Yeah.
skunky strains and shit. And so, I mean, I
Yeah.
basically got into weed right when it was progressing from the Mexican brick. It would probably be 2002 when I first smoked my first joint. So
Yeah.
where I was at, which is in Illinois, it was progressing from brick weed to like the mids, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
get your first.
Yeah. It's funny, the whole transition. Like, I remember it was started with Mexican brick, and then there was also some kind bud that was available, but
They're really hard
pretty
to
much.
get.
Yeah, exactly. So it pretty much was like Mexican brick, and then the mid grade, and like and then like dank bud, I guess, kind of at the same time. And then so that was basically like 2000 to 2004, I would say, like the dank and the went from 2000, and then so in 2005, 2006, I think that's right around when the California outdoor or indoor or whatever started coming through. Really good, like lavender, and really good weed, the best weed I'd probably had at that time. And then it started going to the beasters, you know what I mean? And after that,
Like weed that looked good, but it just wasn't shit.
the beasters were, I think they came from Canada, and it was basically like hay weed. It was hydro, commercial, fucking had smell like gerbil food kind of. It was,
I
and
definitely know what you're talking about, bro.
yeah, it made your eyes red, and like it was still kind of expensive too. So it wasn't even like, but everyone bought it. And yeah, man, the beasters suck.
That was like the $120 ounce shit.
Yeah, yeah, I think it was even more
Damn.
back then. But yeah, that shit sucked. But yeah, I mean, from that point on, the weed just, I don't know. I remember in 2002, like around that time, that's when I was getting, some good weed, like dank, like piney dank and shit. Like you could get the mid grade, but the dank bud was good, man. It was and then hydro and shit. I guess it was probably mostly people growing at home, like good weed who had cuts of things that were growing it and selling it. But I just remember the weed back then smelt stronger and yeah, it was just better. I've been unimpressed with like, all the weed these days.
Well, you know what's cool too, about like Mexi brick and stuff is all the different variations there were of that, because which obviously there was probably some from South America and other places too that just made their way up and it just looked similar, so we thought it was the same. But
Yeah.
there was ones where you could tell it hadn't been dried properly and then just smashed into a cube, or there was some that you could tell that was grown pretty well. And that's probably what I would consider was the skunkier weed from that period, in my opinion, like just from what I had experienced. Like there was no mold smell to it. It had red hairs, and you may find like maybe 10 seeds in a bud or something, but that stuff was really nice, and it was sort of compressed a little bit, but not too bad. And that, you're right, that probably was from stuff, grown in America, either outdoor or inside someone's house.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
totally.
did think it's funny though, some of the Reggie and stuff, like I feel like it was pressed to the point where there may have been some deep carboxylation or even some rosin created. And so some of that stuff would have a little bit stronger, effect to it.
Yeah. No, I remember there was some shit back in the day that it was like dark colored, shitty looking weed. It wasn't brick weed, but it looked like it. So I don't know, like I guess maybe it was, but it was I don't know, it got you so fucking high, like this like beautiful, uplifting, like concert weed type high. And yeah, I don't know what it was, man, but it just like reminded me of some of the stories I've heard about like black African weed and just crazy magic weed and stuff like that. It's really strong and shit, but popped into my head.
No, for sure, bro. I mean, I definitely think some of the strains at that time I was smoking probably had some higher THCV content, you know, some of the more African or South American type stuff like that, I think definitely had some more active compounds than just than the regular Mexi brick.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I feel like the first time, I don't know about for you guys, like when the first time you got a bag, like a really good bag seed from something that's really good, like high grade, like the first time you found a really fucking good seed.
Oh yeah, they were just plump. Definitely had the
Right.
tiger stripe to it. A lot of the Reggie back in the day, for me in my experience, the seeds were either white or they were completely black and smashed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, shit, because the first, there was like some good seeds in mid grade, but like when you say like you get like a bag of like we got lavender back in probably 2006, 2007 it was California weed, and my buddy got an ounce, and it was, first of all, it was the best weed that we had probably ever seen, and smoked and smelled and everything. And there was fucking like 40 seeds or some shit, like kind of just in there that were fully developed. And someone's listening to this and someone has the lavender from back in the day. They know it's just, the flavor is like this like floral, hashy. I mean, is probably some of the best weed definitely that I've ever fucking had. And grew it from like 2007 to 2009, and like just got like robbed by hunters and shit. So my seed crops genetics are gone. But basically the lavender, man, was like some of the best shit. And
The
it
first
wasn't.
seeds I ever grew were by KC Brains. We never
Yep.
really got weed with really bag seed in that way in the UK. In the UK, when I was young, they're either smoking like the worst kind of quality hash that you could ever imagine exists, or there was sometimes imported Jamaican, which was a bit compressed, almost like the Mexi brick, I suppose. There was South African weed like that. But the indoor that we used to get, that was generally done by people who took pride over everything. Of course, you get the odd seed anyway, S1, but yeah, generally we didn't really get that. So most people were buying seeds in the UK, you know. And yeah, I remember the first ones I started with Casey Brains, his Northern Lights. And,
Oh shit.
yeah, that was good. And then after that, I grew Malawi Gold and some mainly landrace from that point on, really. And
Wow.
yeah,
Damn. I like Casey Brains, man. He's got some great stuff, you know. I grew some of his seeds back in the day, and man, it was Casey Brazil, and they were
yeah,
freebie seeds, and they fucking basically auto flowered, and all the hairs were pink.
okay.
And man, they were great. They're like bright green colored, and yeah, those are really fun plants to grow. I've always wanted to grow some of his other shit. I've tried a few times, but
This is
Yeah,
Casey.
Yeah, I think he's still going. He's still making seeds.
is he? Yeah.
I
Is
saw,
this
I
guy
saw, I
Casey
saw you had
Brains
an
Canada
Oh,
on
sorry, bro.
Instagram? I'm just asking, how do I find this guy? Is it Casey Brains Canada?
Oh, Casey Brains. I think it's like at Casey Brains, maybe. Like not.
Brains Canada, maybe.
Yeah.
This sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had yeah, like a Northern Lights original, I think it was called, that I grew. I really liked that. But then after that, I think I just went on to some seedsman seeds and grew. I did grow bubblegum from Nirvana after that, and then Malawi Gold and some Afghan, some Skunk #1. And I just went through the seedsman seeds catalogue, their early catalogue, grew those out. Grew some like AK-40, you know, serious seeds, and grew their catalogue, a bit of those. But yeah, once I really got into old timer one stuff, that's all I ever did grow.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. We all started, we've tried a bunch of things. But then when it all comes down to it, we're all interested in these old timer one genetics. I mean, this is like the greatest thing that's come along.
I want the meds, bro. That's what I want. I want the meds. I want to smoke something. And another thing too, and something I've talked to about with other people, it's like getting into the seed game and eventually probably be selling seeds and stuff. I don't want to be known for the prettiest plant. I want to be known for a plant that gives you an experience. And I feel like these genetics are that, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like honestly,
Yeah.
working with these, and just I didn't share with very many people, but trust me, the people I did share with were very interested. And they smoked a lot of my different weed, and you just smoke it with them, and a lot of these people, like, with how everything has gone down, I want to get people's opinions without my influence. So I'll show plants to people and definitely share the buds or rosin or hash with them without saying anything, just because I want to hear what they say, or their facial expression. And it's always a really positive response. Especially like this more, I would say it's like a haze. It's got really nice uplifting effects. That really crazy frosty purple one, it's in a league of its own in terms of what it can do for you, and your mood, like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, I've smoked sativas and things that have uplifted me, but there's also a certain amount of paranoia and anxiety that come with those. But with this, it's like there's not really a ceiling. You can keep smoking it, but you have a smile on your face that you can't get rid of. And and you just look goofy and feel goofy. It's one of those things where it's like you're looking for your lighter and it's in your hand. And but yeah, man, I mean, and the effects are long lasting and they do it for me. So I think you're right, man. We've all made our way through these genetics that are widely available, and honestly, I'm thankful for them in a way, because they were there when I needed them. I could access those certain things because they were made widely available. But at the end of the day, we're all adults, we're using this can. It's not like we're not smoking just to show other people our plants. We're smoking because we want to feel something. And so I guess I'm rambling, but out of all the different kinds of strains I've smoked, these ones just stick with me. And when you're growing them in a room full of other stuff, it's like they speak for themselves, and you can't kill them. It's hard to kill them. I'm not even lying. It's like it's hard to kill them.
I know they're so unique. It's just so many different, and I'm curious about the effect of all of the different kinds, the body odor one, and and then you go to the skunk, and then what about the fruity ones? Like what
I will
super.
say this pine butter skunk I have, that
Yeah.
one smelled like body odor very heavily until like the last 2 weeks of flower. And then
Okay.
switched into this super piney, because at first it started with like a rotten egg sulfur smell. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this is probably going to be some crazy fucking skunk. And then it made its way into like that perspiration, like that dirty sweat smell. And then finally towards the end, and then the curing and drying process, that piney peanut butter skunk spray back end came out of it. And it's been really cool. Another one of the Skunk Fam members has found the same pheno. That's the other thing too. It's like, for what everyone else says or whatever, all the critics and everything, if people are finding similar phenos in the packs, that's amazing. It just means
Mhm.
that, like we were talking about, there's probably 100 and some phenos, and it's going to be cool to kind of map those out. And then based on what we like, go in each direction and see where it goes,
I love it how everybody's finding different phenos, and it's like everyone who pops a pack gets a plant that no one else has.
That's why, I've
I
told people before, it's like a pack of Pokemon cards or something, right? I mean,
yeah.
you're not always gonna get what you expected, but you're gonna get something you're like, holy shit, this is cool, like what even is this?
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, yeah.
And even the ones that I feel like aren't like maybe necessarily the most of what you're looking for, it's like you didn't know you needed it, and now it's like, what can that
Right.
do with the breeding process? Because if that's the starting point and I take it to something that I like, where else will it go? I don't think
Oh,
anyone really
100%.
opened up the gene pool yet, as far as from their selections. I want to see 2, 3, 4 generations of breeding with these plants.
Yeah, I'm dying to start those other seeds. I gotta wait a little bit, make some room, but once I do, man, there's search for the best males. You're gonna, there's gonna be even more expressions, and you're gonna somehow, we'll have to probably match up like the expressions that we find in more seeds when we pop them to maybe the keeper phenos that we kept, that some of these limes working within them. There's going to be so many more possibilities within each line itself. Like I might think I got the one right now, but once I find a good similar male to cross to one of my females, and I might look through those seeds, then I might find something even better. And it's just who knows what possibilities, because they're not all similar. They're all so much different. And yeah, there's some real unicorns in there. It really is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, people need to hurry up with the boss packs because they are in limited supply now, unfortunately. It's kind of sad coming to the end of them because they've produced such amazing things for a couple of years now. But yeah, we've only got limited numbers of those left. Got quite a few more of the Tip Town tickets, but I don't think people realise just how good they are, So it's good to hear what you've been finding with them, because your skunks came from the Tip Town tickets, didn't they?
They did. All the best phenos that I ended up keeping are from the Terp ticket, but I also ended up like stunting the boss pack because they had thrips and I was spraying them, and I kind of fucked up, but I was still able to see what was in there, and there was some good shit, but fortunately the skunk that I liked the most came out of the Terp Town ticket.
There's some killer skunks. I remember the mothers very, very well that went into the Tip Town tickets, and like the Pheno Hunters mix previously, but what is now the Tip Town tickets. And there was some killer, nasty, nasty skunks in there that I put the offspring off,
Yep.
So
yeah, there was sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think, as you've been saying, basically the best is yet to come of what's going to come out in the future, and more people growing them, because there is so much possibility due to the diversity, the deliberate diversity that I wanted to reproduce and put out to people. I could have kept 60 plants separately, took the seeds from each one of them and put out 60 different packs, but that's just bullshit. I wanted to give people like a lottery ticket, as it were, or genetic treasure trove to explore themselves. And once they've gone for that pack, if they get another pack, it'll be different again. It's just about.
Yeah.
I knew there was so much uniqueness there, and like wonder, really, that it was, just had to be put out there.
Yeah.
Thank
No,
God.
I mean, it's
Honestly.
crazy how much there really is. I can't even kind of just wrap my head around how much each, you get from each one. But yeah, it's crazy.
I think they're the best, without doubts. I think they're the best genetic packs out there in terms of people being able to access new and like unique and very high quality cannabis.
Yep.
And also, I think they're the best value out there, without
Yeah.
doubt, at the moment.
You know what else I think it does is most people, they get a 12 pack of a hype strain and they just keep a pheno, they pheno hunt it or whatever. But with these, it forces you to really kind of look at it a different way, because you don't just pheno hunt it. There's different lines that if you want to work, they're all different. And so it kind of forces you to say, well, this is this one way that I might want to breed this. Here's another line I might want to try to work this way. And then I got to pick the right male to go with it. Right. So it's like, instead of just like,
Absolutely.
just keeping the best female out of the pack because it's all the same, this forces you to just, acknowledge the genetic variation.
Well, I've loved the photos you've been posting recently. I love that group shot you did where you can see all the different colors and like the range of possibilities that are in the in the Triptown tickets. That picture, and also Haze Grower did one similar. You two guys have done the best pictures that perfectly illustrate, just the diversity of and the beauty of what is in those packs.
Your males look really nice too, bro.
Yeah,
Oh,
they were
thanks,
fire.
man. Yeah, no, I grew those all in those little quart-sized pots. I love using those little pots like that. And yeah, no, there were some beauties in there, honestly. Some colors I hadn't seen in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty strong smells as well.
Yeah, so yeah, actually, let's talk about the males. There was all different kinds, and the stem rub on them all varied. There was like the funky, the skunky, then there was woody, musky, woody, haze, and some of them had, crystals like trichomes growing on the male flowers, and that smelled like the haze one had like a woody haze smell, and it probably had the most resin out of all the males, was that most haze like one. And and then the skunk ones smell a little skunky, and yeah, they had some trichome production on some of the males, which was really nice to see, because I don't know how common that is anymore with the hype strains and stuff. If there's typically resin on the males, I don't see that too often. So that was good to see. But yeah, they all smelled different. There was like the short ones with the dark colored leaves that smelt the most musky, and kind of, yeah, there was all sorts of different
Have you
stuff
ever
in there.
noticed like a turpentine smelling mel? Like paint thinner, turpentine.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a female I had that smelled kind of like a turpentine skunk out of the Boss pack.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the males though, they smelt more like fresh asphalt type, astringent skunk smell.
Yeah, that's exactly
But
like I had that burnt rubber skunk male I found with this sort of sativa
yeah,
morphology. Like that was a very impressive plant, and you're right, it does have that fresh asphalt smell, like burnt rubber
yeah,
too, and skunk spray.
yep. And there was also the two best males that I found out of the terp ticket were kind of like, they weren't the tallest and they weren't the shortest, and they smelt kind of like that strawberry haze female that I have. I think it was more like a really strong stem rub on it. And I was actually really bummed that the cold weather made it so they didn't drop pollen in time. I really wanted to use those, but there were a couple really good males in there that you could tell. All you do is you do a stem rub on each one, and you'll know which one to probably put up front out of there. But yeah, there was a couple really nice males in there. Really, all of them were great.
Yeah, I asked about the lemon turpentine male because that was my starting point really for my serious breeding with these seeds, you know.
Yeah.
It's probably the first ever seeds I made them was kind of accidental that by a male that I didn't fucking know was in quite a large room. But that aside, my intentional breeding with them really started when I wanted to preserve the really nice varieties that I'd found that year when I was surrounded by forest fires. I was seeing forest fires all around me early in the year in March, and I was like, fuck, I better make some seeds to preserve these in case fire ever does come there. You know, I've told the story before. But yeah, the male I used at that point was really beautiful, strong lemon turpentine smelling. And he had gigantic flowers, like really 12-inch, 14-inch flowers at least, you know. And resinous, like you say, tons of pollen, and turned purple even in the height of summer. So he's responsible for a lot of the perps. And that made the first 9 varieties that well, that male pollinated the first 9 different females that I made seeds with, which then went on to be my selections for what is now the Boss Pack and the Pheno Hunters and Tip Town tickets.
Yeah, I remember hearing that, picking up on that I was listening to your to another podcast. That's really cool how, you know, the lemon turpentine male used for the Boss Pack and the Turp Town ticket. And I would say that the male that I got that I pollinated my skunks with was probably close to that. It was like, you know, really astringent.
It was just a slight correction. That lemon turpentine was like the grandfather almost. He was the start that made the first 9 different strains that I made, which I then popped to make my selections for the Turp Town tickets and the Boss Packs. So my Boss Pack male and the Pheno Hunters male was a classic skunk male that I'd selected from one of those 9 that I popped. And then the Tip Town tickets has got a skunk haze male for those 4 varieties that I added into the Pheno Hunters. Yeah.
No, that's cool. And yeah, there's so many.
But the lemon turpentine male was a great male. If you ever come across that kind of tip profile again, I'd say keep it and use it. You know, it's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll never really know because the you know, that male, all I could really go by was the stem rub mostly, but a little bit on the trichome on the flower. But yeah, it did kind of smell like similar what you just described that as. But definitely, yeah, skunky. But yeah, it kind of came through. It was saved me because the other males didn't drop their pollen, got too cold. So I'm definitely going to do it different this next time I start seeds. I'm going to take clones pretty much of everything. And yeah, just go from there and just keep the best of the best and make more seeds. Who knows, you know?
So you think you might make seeds available to people?
Yeah, I mean, well, shit. I mean, it depends. I definitely want to put things out there eventually after I work it to a point where it meets my own standards, and it has to be like we've talked about this before. All 3 of us, I know we all 3 of us feel this way. You're not willing to put something out there until it is like outstanding or
because it's
something.
It's like, you know, people are putting their money into it and your reputation is on the line as well as Blue Skies. So it's like, you just want to make sure it's consistent, you know, because like, you know, you get a splash of greatness and it's like, okay, now I got to test you and then put it out, you know, and that's why like, you know, it's like,
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you. When do you think you'll pop the offspring of the skunk one and the blueberry one pretty soon? Because I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they produce.
Probably, I'm not sure because I got a bunch of shit going right now that I got to run through with a pheno hunt. And then once these seeds are ripe from the skunks, who knows, maybe I'll start a few of them when I start the rest of the Turp Town ticket and Boss Packs, but they're definitely next on the list after everything I got now kind of peters out. They're definitely next on the list. Get those things back into rotation.
Did you leave any of the flowers unpollinated so you can smoke them when they're harvest time?
Yeah, there's definitely some in there. I'll get I'll get a pretty good taste once I get those cured up. But by that point, it'll be I'll be good to go for the sampling. I can't wait. Like I don't even know what they're gonna be like. It's that you're just like, when you smoke really good weed sometimes and it just has that flavor that's just so outstanding and so
Well, I
much
think you're going
different.
to enjoy the blueberry and the strawberry for sure on the fruity side of things. They're both like really sort of
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh my God. It's gonna be, yeah, I can't even imagine, but definitely I know from experience that they're definitely gonna surprise me with
I remember
yeah.
the first time I ever found the strawberry. She's just so beautiful when you smoke those flowers. And it was really beautiful outdoor organic that I grew. And yeah, just and so sweet, so sweet. And I smoked this strawberry plant for like a month, but for 6 weeks after, I've told that story too, but for 6 weeks after, the roof of my mouth, like the palate of my mouth, every
Oh
time
yeah.
my every time my tongue touched just behind, say, the back of my teeth, at the roof of my mouth, it'd be like intensely sweet. Like I don't know why or how, what the fuck,
Hmm.
but it was the exact same sweetness that was coming from the strawberry tips.
Oh my God.
Crazy. And I was like, when is this ever going to end? And it was a direct smoke. It was a direct result of smoking that plant for a whole month. So I just had grown one plant of it, and however much the weight was, it lasted me a month of smoking. But yeah, for 6 weeks after, my palate was fucked.
Yeah. You know what I really can't wait for to really, just help with this whole process, trying to start this like, reset of genetics, is to let other people try this shit once I grow it out real proper, grow some real fine nugs of all these different crazy, you know, crazy like good heirlooms, and let people try them and kind of like All Killer No Filler said, look at their face, see it on their face. It doesn't
That's
lie.
definitely the aim of the game, to spread this as far and wide as possible to everyone, so everybody gets to,
Everyone's got to try it and
yeah,
realize that they've been smoking boof weed for
mids.
the past 10 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, and the best part about sharing it is like, we all have our palate, we smell things a certain way, we taste things a certain way. So it's really nice to get more than one description so that you can really understand what it's going to be like to a newcomer.
yeah.
Well,
I
that
mean, yeah.
blueberry, I think everybody, like especially people that are maybe that, I feel like this blueberry and the strawberry should almost be like introductory cannabis to people who aren't perhaps like, who are new to it, or older or whatever, because of the
Yeah.
effects that it has, the way it puts a smile on your face, the way it makes you feel good, is warm behind the eyes on a summer's day. It just makes life more, just beautiful sort of thing. It enhances everything. It's a life enhancer and a day brightener.
Yeah. What I'm kind of waiting for too is like, is it going to get me that sparkly high that I used to get back in?
Exactly. A sparkly high is a great way
Yeah.
to put it.
And that
Yeah.
not only that, but you're going to be laughing with your friends and whoever you smoke it with. That's what's
Yeah.
so refreshing to me, is that you almost can't find a strain that's modern that's going to make you laugh with your buddies and stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah. I remember smoking weed back in, the early 2000s. And yeah, that was,
Dude, there was some of that weed where I would be by myself and I would be laughing.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We'd just be laughing about something like, yeah. Just,
Like, or I'd
yeah.
be like we'd smoke at the bus stop before school. You get on the bus and you get to school and it'd be cold outside. So by the time you get into the warm school, you're
Yeah.
just stinking and you've got the reddest eyes and you're just goofy for the next 4 classes and nobody knows, but you need a lot of water and nobody knows what the hell's going on and neither do you really.
Yep.
You're just high on life, and that's
You get
honestly, that's what I've experienced with these, for real.
got the permagrin. But yeah, that good feeling though, it's just like that full effect. I mean, I can tell so far, I can tell these strains are full in every other way.
I've got some little buds and some shake in a jar in my basement from the first harvest, and every now and then I go in there and crack the jar, and the smell's exactly the same. There's
Yeah.
no humidity pack in there or anything.
Yep. No, this is good. I really just am looking especially forward to growing some of these cuts that I'm keeping again, but growing them like really proper, no seeds. I mean, they're going to be outstanding. Like the genetics so good that
You almost never have enough space because you just keep finding more awesome shit.
right. Well, the thing is, you find some awesome shit, and maybe the stuff you've been keeping for a while isn't so great, so you get rid of some of it. You know.
Absolutely. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna part ways because the way I think about it is like, other stuff in different it's more accessible. You can get it again. These packs are running out. You know what I mean? Everybody who got one, that's your ticket, bro.
It
Hold
is
it
a
down,
ticket. Yeah.
hold
Yep.
it down, and you might not get
Yep.
what you want, but you're gonna get something that you need. And just
Yeah.
take care of it. That's the main thing too. Is like, I think a lot of the critics in the beginning and stuff, they didn't treat it right. At the end of the day, when you go into it with this mindset of fuck this guy, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna give it the best life it possibly can have. Now, don't get me wrong, I do test my shit. And there's always variables, especially growing inside. Shit gets thrown at you nonstop. And
Yep.
shit changes, temperature changes, humidity changes, you forget something,
Yep.
you too much of something. There's always those things, but at the end of the day, like, your intention does matter, and not in a hippy dippy way. It's like raising a pet or something like that. It's like, if you really have the right idea in mind of where you want to go with this, and you treat it right out on the way, it's going to produce for you. And I think
Yeah.
some of the people with bad experiences, I'm not saying all of them, I'm not saying every single plant, however many that you'll pop out of these is going to be fucking stellar. There may be a herm or whatever, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you treat these plants right, you're going to get something amazing.
No, 100%. Anyone who is, they're just copping. They're lying if they said they didn't find something, unless they got really unlucky. Which of course
Which
that could
it can
happen. That would suck. I mean, because honestly, if I had gotten, if they were all shit, I would have been like, these were just shit, But I got lucky, and though, even
I
if
was
it's
prepared to
all
say
shit,
that too, man.
it's still on a different. It's still, even the shit stuff, it's still, you can tell that it's more genuine cannabis than like the tip hype shit. Now, even the shit that I'm not keeping is still better, and it's got that different, it's just different weed. It's completely different the way it grows.
I'm really
They're
looking forward to
all,
see you growing it outside for sure.
yeah, no, that's gonna be huge. The big question for me, because I like the combo outdoor indoor, is which ones are mold resistant and stuff like that. And from what I understand, the old school skunks were mold resistant, like botrytis, and with those big, even those buds that are just really big and dense, they're still mold resistant from what I understand. So I'm hoping that they stay like that, because some of those buds get pretty big and that shit happens. But yeah, I know for sure the strawberry
You see
probably
the
won't get
size of the
any.
bud that Ecstasy Diamonds grew in that picture. When people talk about big buds, I was thinking of that one, that really huge bud he's got in that picture.
Yeah, yeah.
His meat skunk turned out awesome too.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Yep. I know for a fact the strawberry, that it doesn't look like it'll get mold outside at all. The way those buds are shaped, it's just like long internodes between the buds, and the way that, yeah, there's just, even the blueberry, like I don't think
What's
that
your
they're gonna
blueberry
get.
like? Oh, of course, I know the color. It's super dark, but I mean,
Yeah.
what's the smell on that blueberry? Like a fruit or a
Yeah.
candy or just a pure fruit?
Yeah, the blueberry was like, so it started off kind of like a grape jam. It had a jam, like a sweet jam smell, kind of like from the get. And yeah, now it smells more stronger, like blue Powerade, like really sweet though. Um Super good. It's gonna taste super good when it's dry, type of thing. Like, it's gonna blow my eyebrows back, you know what I mean?
I want to try
Hey,
more
that's my
extracts, mate.
favorite way to fucking describe this shit. I swear to God, dude. I was sitting there
Right.
smoking. This one of the plants was very small, but it had this cabbage, onion, meat, garlic skunk to it. And I'm serious. When I'm smoking that shit, my fucking forehead is crinkled, and it blew my fucking eyebrows back, dude. You know the guy,
Yeah.
the villain on Sonic the Hedgehog? That guy? That's what my
Yeah.
shit looked like. because I
That's
was
funny.
like, what the fuck? It's like when the mad scientist has an explosion in his lab and his face is charred black. Like that's how I felt, seriously.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
actually didn't keep that one. And the reason why, not only, I mean, it was a small plant, but it was probably because of the way I grew it under just a little quantum board. But you know, I didn't keep that one, but the reason why is because I feel like I can find it again easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that
Hell
one
yeah.
is probably the quintessential one of the like maybe 5 to 10 skunks, you know, like type that you can find in there. That one I feel like I can grab again, but that was the one
Yeah.
that everything was curing, and that was the one I chose to smoke first. And I'm just sitting there like, this shit will blow your eyebrows back.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you said that. Yep. That was, man. And it really does too. You know what I mean? It totally does. Like, it just wows you. These things.
It does, man. Well, hell
Yep.
yeah, man. I mean, we're probably getting to the end here, so that we can fit this on YouTube. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Shit. I mean, man, I'm always talking genetics. I'm always hoping. I'm hoping in the future to, like you're saying, like, maybe release some seeds at some point. Like my idea would be, to come up with like a completely new cross of something, using no hybrids to make it, just use like purely land races of like the best ones, and
Yeah, that
basically
really
come up
quick.
with them.
What are your favorite land races?
You know, it's tough. I like African sativas.
Do you like Malawi Gold?
Yeah, I grew some Malawi Gold. It was beautiful. It smelled like perfume. I mean, loved it. The clear
Super
high.
resinous, the one I grew.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, just all sorts of shit. I like Mexicans, the really good high, and there's some other shit, some Himalayan, and then there's
Yeah.
believe it or not, the Egyptian Sinai was actually really good. That one smelled like big league chew, like chewing gum. Um, and also the Syrian hash plant smells really good. It's like a fruity, like a starburst hash smell. It's like really zesty. But
The
yeah,
Pakistani tea
hopefully,
trial I just ran recently had that big league sort of
yeah,
gum smell to it too. So
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's
But
definitely a menthol sort of tip running through some of my stuff in the
yeah,
Pheno Hunters and Terptown tickets. Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping to match up like that too, like with a Blue Skies Skunk or Haze or one of those. Find one of those that would
There's one
cross
that's like
well.
a Vicks vapor rub. It literally will clear your sinuses right through.
Yo, yeah, yeah. Is that the Skunk one you're talking about that smells like that, or a Haze, or
No, it's more in the haze
Haze?
spectrum. Yeah.
Because I ended up. That's funny you say that. I ended up making a cross back in probably 2009 is when it was, and it was a Malawi Gold. I had a mother that I kept for like 4 years of it, and I crossed it to a Durban Poison, and the offspring, the best pheno, smelled like Vicks Vapor Rub when it was cured up in the jar, like to a T.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it was funny you said that, because that Malawi Gold, and is really, I think, where it came from. But
How did you find the smoke of that Malawi Gold? Did you find it psychoactive?
no,
Like
it was just really clear for
oh,
me.
I found mine really, really. It's, when people talk about inverted commas or quotation marks, however you guys might say it over there, trippy weed. That is the only weed I've smoked that was actually gave me visual disturbances, as it was. I wouldn't call it full on hallucinations, anything like that, but
Wow.
I'd see like little green sort of fucking like traces in the dark at night time with it.
Oh yeah,
It altered your vision without doubt. It has an impact or an effect on your vision, for me anyway, certainly, which
yeah,
I've not really experienced with anything else, including old timer one stuff.
yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I do know I do know what you're talking about. I didn't get it from the
And it was
Malawi.
an energetic high as well, very energetic high.
Energetic, very. I mean, for me, it was like when I smoked the Malawi, like I could be hopping up and down,
Yeah.
and like I could hold a
Can't really sit
conversation.
still with it for a while.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could basically go and do a speech to like, you know, a stadium of people and fucking nail it when you puff Malawi Gold type. Well, maybe not the shit you had, but
You would think
you,
you were thinking you were nailing it. You're just like, yeah.
yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
just found it energetic. Like, you know, you could go to the gym with it and lift weights or whatever.
no, exactly. That's no, for sure.
That
I
sounds
definitely,
crazy.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
puffing
It
on a
was fun.
joint, just fucking doing some curls. Like, God, I don't know. And people say
Yeah,
swimmers are lazy.
But I'm with you, man. The way forward, I've had this discussion with like old school chronic on Real Cannabis Talk. Said, you know, basically, if we had to start again, or basically, if I didn't have old timer one genetics, for example, no one would fucking hear of me. I would not be a breeder today. I would not be working with the genetic pool that everybody else is, because that's what the state of breeding or the seed making thing is these days. It's just all the same stuff crossed into each other and 25 times over. And so I could never add to that, you know. So I would have to do the same as you, which would be like go to, you know, get a Malawi Gold or a Thai and then cross that with an Afghan, you know, a properly
right.
sourced Afghan, or what, something I collected myself. I
Yeah,
couldn't be a new breeder in today's climate with what exists outside of my gene pool that I have now. You know what I mean? I could just
yep.
not be the next cookie dog guy, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. And that I know all three of us, we feel this way, and I'm saying it again, but like I've heard you, Blue Skies, say it before. I think it was on the first podcast about how you weren't willing to release shit unless it was the best, and you know, all killer, no filler. Same thing. Like you're not willing to release some seeds to people to grow, or even to give a, you know, unless it's fucking up to your snuff, you know, and it's meets your standards, you
Well, I
know.
feel like
The
these
thing, the
genetics
thing
need
is with my
somebody to
story,
give
bro,
them justice, you know?
with me, with my story, insofar as releasing these seeds, is that I didn't plan on releasing them to begin with. This was always going to be what I've
Yeah.
put out forms a large part of what was going to be my future breeding stock that I was going to make selections from and work a
Yeah.
little before release. But I was put
Mhm.
in a position by certain fucking idiots in the community who were like tarnishing my name.
Mhm.
I was put in a position where I had to release something to give people a
Yep.
taste of what I had, at least to show that, you know, there was skunk in
Yeah.
there. That was the S lines. And then after that,
Mhm.
people were still more and more wanting things. So I just let them out, knowing that I'm not ripping
Mhm.
anybody off. I know what is fucking what. I know what I've got. I know
Mhm.
they're legit. And in any case, I certainly know they're a completely unique opportunity for people to experience
Yeah.
something completely new, you know? So
Yeah.
although I didn't want to let them out in the sort of untested capacity, I was
Right.
forced to it to begin with, and B afterwards. Then I was pretty
Mhm.
confident that people are still going to find fire anyway. So I'm also opening up an entirely rare and unique gene pool. So I was doing
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
positive, you know.
Yeah, I remember you saying that too, that you didn't want to release them yet, and that you had to like jump the gun because of all the pressure you were getting. But
Well,
yeah, I do
idiots
remember.
like Matt Riot and fools like that just talking shit about me, you know. So I
Yeah.
just had to
Yeah.
shut them up.
And even the fact that you released your shit basically on, obviously they're not worked lines, it's literally like you said, a treasure trove. Like I said, no other breeder would dare do what you're doing, because you're literally these packs are worth more than money can buy, basically.
Yeah.
And not only that,
Like,
I feel like people like Matt Wright and stuff, they hadn't even experienced these genetics, right? I mean,
right, they're pissed, yo, they're pissed because ain't no everyone wants to have the best weed, you know. And
Yeah.
when you're putting it out there in this the way, you know, it's yeah, no one's
you're
doing it
saying
like that.
fuck everybody who's talking shit. They really just don't want to hear that because most of these guys are bullies anyway.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
This is like kicking the bully's ass right now, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah,
It is
everyone.
basically because there's also in the minds of all these idiots from the past as well. That's what they thought they could do. Do you know what I mean? They're such losers. They thought they could actually fucking.
Well,
They
they've
couldn't bully me in any capacity, but to
well, you
think
know
that they
what's
could
funny is
bully me
like
online or somehow. What idiots? You know what I mean?
they've tried everything with me. Like they've tried to get in my DMs and appeal to my emotions and come on, bro. And don't you think don't you hate how he talks, or don't you think he's this or whatever? It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut up and just you're doing more talking than you are growing at the end of the day. Like if people
Yeah.
just stop talking and just grow your plants, man. And that's
Yeah.
the thing too, is like we're talking about fucking plants here. Okay. We're talking
Mhm.
about plants. So,
Yeah.
this whole like ego driven debate, this is the year we end that shit, and obviously
Yeah.
there's going to be people, like I said before, you could be the nicest, most supple, ripest, delicious apple, and there's just going to be people who don't like apples, and that's fine. We're not really trying to reach those people. We're trying to reach people like us who just want to try something
Mhm.
that is amazing. So that's how.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But yeah,
True
man,
that.
I really appreciate you coming on, and
Yeah.
I think it was a very
No,
good.
Bro, are you on the
it's a
forum as well,
pleasure.
Real? Yeah, oh, you are on the forum, aren't you, Real
Yeah.
Genetics? On my forum, the Skunk Fan Forum. So it's worth mentioning that to people.
Yeah.
If you haven't joined the Skunk Fan Forum, to do that, because you can see, hopefully, you'll put up your results of your offspring that you're creating here.
Mhm.
So I definitely want to see those. But yeah, join the forum and click subscribe as well. So I always encourage people to click subscribe so we can get to 1,000 followers on this account, as well as Real Cannabis Talks. Then we can actually, YouTube allows you to go live or do live streams, so you can actually interact with the audience. So that, I think that'd be quite cool. Even if shit talkers come on, anybody, people who's got something good to say, shit talking idiots, I'll speak to a lot of them. So I just think that'd be
Absolutely.
cool and some good fun. So
Yeah.
hit subscribe if you're listening, people,
Hell yeah,
and
man. I'm
join the
looking
Skunk
forward to
Fan
seeing
Forum.
everything in the future from both of you guys.
Yeah. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Bro, I feel you've just made yourself a really incredible genetic bank to start working with there, and I'm really fucking glad you did it and keen to see what comes of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots more to come. I mean, just given time.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
man. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for
Thanks for
coming
having
on,
me.
bro. And
Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to even trading some genetics in the future if you're down.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. No, it was a pleasure coming on and yeah,
You're
like I
welcome
said,
back anytime, bro.
yeah, lucky, very, very fortunate that this all happened. So
Well, hell yeah, man. And for everybody listening, you guys should go follow Steve at Real.Genetics, Real.Genetics, I believe, on Instagram. Blue
yeah.
Skies has got 45, 50 accounts. Going down by the day, being respawned. He's like the final boss that you just can't kill. So, Old Timer 1, Roads Kill Skunk 2. Then I always tag the Blueskiesvienna 4. And then you can find me at All Killer No Filler on Instagram, and then also fermented_frost. That one I don't use that much, but it's just a backup. So, but yeah, man, everybody look out for Steve's stuff coming in the future, as well as Blue Skies. I've got some stuff I'm cooking up too. So thanks for taking the time to listen with us, and hope you check out more episodes. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and comment down below and let us know how you feel. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Later.